fall is just around the corner, nights are getting colder, and your tomatoes, peppers, or eggplants are still stubbornly green. Sound familiar? It feels like any day now you'll be forced to pick them before they're ready. What if I told you that you could get them to ripen much faster, to turn red, yellow, or even purple? And the best part? No chemicals required. Today I'm going to share 5 proven, all-natural methods to speed up the ripening of your produce. Get ready, because some of these methods might just surprise you. We'll cover everything, from clever tricks used by experienced agronomists to simple garden hacks that work flawlessly. To start, let's understand why plants drag their feet. It's simple. A plant isn't a fruit factory designed for your salad bowl. Its primary biological goal is to produce mature, viable seeds to ensure the continuation of its species. If the plant is comfortable with plenty of nutrients, water and warmth, it thinks, why hurry? I can still focus on growing more foliage and strengthening my roots. Our job is to gently but firmly hint that time is running out and it's time to focus on the next generation. This principle is the foundation for all safe ripening methods. Alright, method number 1, and it might seem a bit counterintuitive, even a little harsh at first glance. We're going to induce a mild controlled stress in the plant by cutting back on watering. Let's delve into plant psychology. As long as a plant has plenty of water and nutrients, it's in everything's fine mode. It focuses on growing new leaves and getting stronger. There's simply no urgency to ripen its fruit. Its primary goal is to produce strong offspring, and to do that, it needs to build up as much energy as possible. But as soon as moisture becomes scarce, an ancient instinct kicks in. It gets the message. Warning! Favourable conditions are ending. It's time to urgently secure the next generation. At this point, it diverts all its internal resources from vegetative growth to fruit development. So, how do you properly implement this beneficial drought? The key is timing. Only begin once the fruits have reached their full, mature size for the variety, but are still green. If you initiate this drying period when the fruit is still very small, they will simply cease to develop. We're not stopping watering entirely. That would kill the plant. We simply increase the intervals between waterings. If you are watering daily, switch to watering every 3 to 4 days, or even less frequently. The soil should be allowed to dry out thoroughly between waterings. This method works ideally in a greenhouse, where you have complete control over humidity levels. Keep a close eye on the leaves. A slight wilt in the midday heat is perfectly normal, even beneficial. But by morning, their turgor, firmness, should be fully restored. If the leaves are still drooping like rags in the morning, it means you've overdone it. Give the plant a small amount of water immediately. As a result, all the energy, sugars, and nutrients that were previously directed towards new leaf growth are urgently redirected into the fruits. The plant then accelerates their ripening to ensure it produces viable seeds. Simple yet brilliant, wouldn't you agree? Alright, let's move on to the second method. This is smart pruning, or as I like to call it, energy redirection. Your plant, especially towards the end of summer, is a bit like a person trying to juggle 100 tasks at once. It's growing leaves, sending out new shoots, and trying to ripen its fruit. Our job is to help it focus on what truly matters, the harvest. So where do we start? First things first, locate and remove all suckers. These are the side shoots that sprout from the leaf axils. Think of them as little nutrient thieves. They divert precious sap that your tomatoes need to grow plump and ripen. By removing them, we cut off unnecessary energy drains. Next up, we look downwards. Any leaves below the lowest fruit cluster can be confidently removed. They've already served their primary purpose, and now they just shade your fruit, impede air circulation, and can become a breeding ground for blight. By removing them, we not only improve airflow, but also allow more sunlight to reach the fruit. And now, for the final push, the ultimate technique. About a month before the first cold snap, you'll want to pinch off the top of the main stem. This sends a clear message to the plant. Growth is over. It's time to work with what you've got. Along with the top, remove any new flower clusters. Yes, it might feel a little wasteful, But be realistic. They won't have enough time to develop into a full harvest. What's the result of all this? We've eliminated the excess and literally forced the plant to direct all its energy, all its nutrients, into the existing fruit. It's like closing all unnecessary tabs on your computer to make it run faster. The plant stops scattering its efforts and begins to focus purposefully on the outcome, your juicy, ripe tomatoes. All right, for our third method, we've already covered nutrition and pruning. And now let's give our fruits a real personalised spa treatment. This is all about warmth and light, but with a brilliant twist. Let's think about what ripening truly is. It's an entire biochemical factory operating inside every single tomato. For it to accumulate sugars, become sweet, and develop its signature red colour, it needs energy. The main sources of this energy are heat and light. If nights turn cold, this factory simply grinds to a halt. So, here's our first trick to kickstart it again. We're going to create a reflective screen. It's simpler than you might think. Grab a large sheet of cardboard, plywood, or even an old piece of corrugated roofing and wrap it with regular aluminum foil, shiny side out. Any white material can also work. Set up this screen on the north side of your garden bed, directly behind the plants. What does this achieve? Sunlight, after passing through the bushes, will reflect off the screen and hit the fruits from the back. Your tomatoes will receive a double dose of light and consequently heat. And here's the second trick, even simpler. We'll build individual mini greenhouses. Take a regular clear plastic bag and carefully slip it over a cluster of fruits. Secure it at the top with a clothespin or a piece of string. But there's a crucial detail. The bottom of the bag must remain open for ventilation. Otherwise, condensation will build up inside, and instead of ripe tomatoes, you'll end up with rot. This simple cover creates its own microclimate around the fruits. During the day, it accumulates heat, and at night, it protects them from cold dew and temperature fluctuations. Ultimately, these two simple techniques can raise the temperature around your fruits by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. In the cool weather of late summer, that's a huge difference that can shorten ripening time by a week or even more. All right, everyone, now for our fourth method. This is true hormonal magic, accessible to absolutely everyone. We're going to make plants talk to each other. Have you ever noticed that if you put a green banana next to a ripe one, it yellows much faster? That's no coincidence. The reason is that many ripe fruits, especially apples and bananas, release an invisible gas called ethylene. Ethylene is a natural plant hormone that acts as a universal signal for ripening. When this gas reaches a green fruit, it kicks off an internal ripening program. So, how do we harness this natural chemistry? Our first method, a classic one, is for fruits you've already picked. If you harvested your crop while it was green, simply put your tomatoes in a cardboard box or a large paper bag. Then, tuck 1 or 2 ripe apples in among them. Close the box and leave it in a warm spot. The apples will saturate the space with ethylene, and your tomatoes will ripen right before your eyes. But here's the really exciting part. You can do this trick right in your garden. Grab a ripe apple and pop it into a small plastic bag. Prick a few small holes in the bag with a needle so the gas can slowly escape. Now, simply hang this little bag on a branch, right next to a cluster of green tomatoes. You'll be creating a localized zone saturated with ethylene. The fruits will get a powerful signal to ripen, all while staying on the vine and continuing to draw nutrients from the roots. This is truly one of the most elegant and effective methods. We're not forcing anything. We're simply speaking the language nature itself uses, gently nudging our harvest across the finish line. And now we come to the fifth and final method. I should warn you right away. This one is for the most decisive gardeners and might seem a bit radical, but believe me, it's incredibly effective. We're going to talk about a gentle, controlled damaging of the root system. Let's understand what happens when you do this. A plant's roots are its life support system, a pump that draws water and nutrients from the soil. When we gently prune them, the plant experiences a shock. An alarm signal goes to its brain. Warning, nutrient supply system damaged. Resources are limited. And what's the first reaction of any living creature in such a critical situation? Exactly, to reproduce as quickly as possible. The plant understands there's no more time for growth and development. It mobilizes all its internal reserves and directs them towards ensuring its fruits ripen and produce viable seeds before it's too late. So how do you do this correctly? And most importantly, safely? You'll need a sharp spade. Step back about 15-20 centimeters from the plant stem. This is critically important to avoid damaging the main taproot. Now carefully but firmly plunge the spade into the ground to a depth of about 15-20 centimeters. You don't need to dig or turn over the soil. Just plunge it in and pull it out. It's enough to make 1 or 2 such cuts around different sides of the plant. Our goal is to sever only a portion of the lateral feeder roots. This technique immediately stops the growth of foliage. The plant understands that feasting on growth is no longer an option and redirects all nutrient flow directly into the fruits. In just a few days, you'll see your green tomatoes actively starting to turn brown and then red. Yes, this method requires courage, but it's just another way to speak to the plant in a language it understands, the language of survival. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? The most powerful and surprising tools for accelerating your harvest aren't some magic powders from the store, but rather a deep understanding of the plant's own language. We're not forcing tomatoes or peppers to ripen. Instead, we create the conditions where they choose to ripen themselves. This is the real game changer in how we approach gardening. A slight drought whispers to them, "It's time, water supplies are running low." Removing excess leaves practically screams, "All energy to the fruits, don't get distracted." And a ripe apple nearby simply nudges them, neighbour to neighbour. "Hey, everyone else around here is already ripe. What are you waiting for?" It turns out you can negotiate with your harvest if you know which buttons to push. You become more than just a gardener. You're like a conductor, orchestrating the plant's life cycle. All these methods, from controlled stress to banana therapy, aren't about tricking nature. They're about working with her rules. You're simply helping the plants fulfill their main mission within a shorter time frame, as dictated by the approaching autumn. Thank you for watching this video until the very end. I hope these tips help you gather a bountiful and, most importantly, fully ripened harvest. If you learned something new and useful, please support our channel with a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more gardening hacks and tips. So what are your secrets for accelerating your harvest ripening? Maybe you have a special method of your own, perhaps one passed down from your grandmother. Be sure to share your experience in the comments below. Let's build a complete encyclopedia of natural gardening together.